Okay, we are recording again. Thank you very much. So we're going to talk about different economic systems, different ways to organize things. On the left side of the spectrum, so if you were looking at this on the wall, on the left side you have planned economies. Another name, you'll need to know this for grade 12, especially, and hopefully all of you get there. You need to know what these different economic systems are like. So they teach you in grade 9, you'll probably forget by the time you get into grade 12. But that's okay, that's why I record these videos. You can go back and rewatch it. A planned economy or a command economy is as it suggests. It is planned, which means, I'll take your question later, okay?
I was just gonna ask if you could shut the blinds.
Sure, do you wanna shut the blinds there? You too. Do you wanna get the blinds over there? Back, whoever can reach
Just the
them.
middle one.
That's okay, we'll do both. So, a planned economy typically means that it's planned out by the government, whoever's in charge. And that means that they plan everything, particularly on the more extreme ends. Which means that not only do they plan out how much stuff gets made, they plan out how much food you get as well. Okay? So they would produce a certain amount of food for this whole class, let's say the snack bin, nutrition bin. How do we plan the nutrition bin? How many items do you get? In theory. In theory. How many items do you get? One, right? That's a planned economy. Now, if all you got was one snack in the day, is that enough to keep you full for the whole day? Probably no. Maybe not even enough to hold you over for the whole class. I'm gonna move this desk because your arm is like wiggling it. Okay. So that's the point of a planned economy. A group of people make all these decisions. And right now, how many kids are in the class? There's about 30 of you. It's pretty easy for me to manage the snack bin for 30 kids. I just walk around and distribute it. But managing, let's say, lunch for all of you would be very difficult. So all of you have your own dietary needs and restrictions. Some of you have certain preferences. And not all of you are going to eat the same amount of food. The reason why I bring up food in particular, so those of you who watch my YouTube videos, you'll know I interviewed my friend Tony Chin. He wrote a book called Freedom Swimmers, where he talks about his mom's life in China, in communist China, where they had a planned economy. So it started out really good. Everybody got a lot of food to eat. They didn't really have to pay for it, but everybody had to work. Over the course of 2 to 3 years, because the planning started failing, they had less and less food to eat. So they went from having buffets at first to basically being given like a bowl of rice for 12 hours of work. Okay, and eventually their soups got lower and lower quality, and then eventually they started starving people. Eventually they started saying, oh, you're really old, 70 plus, well, you're not very useful. We're just not gonna give you food because you're gonna die soon anyways, and you're small and you're weak. So these types of economies can go from bad to horrible really quickly, right? Because it's hard to make decisions. Like, how many of you struggle to make decisions in your own life? Okay, so some of us are being honest and a lot of us are lying. Okay. Now, for someone to make a decision, how should the mayor decide what you eat today? Have any of you met the mayor? Like personally, you talked to him. How? When?
It was a field trip.
It was a field trip.
My grade 6.
Okay. When, grade 6. Okay, so now you're in grade 9. 3 years ago, do you think the mayor is still capable of figuring out what you need for lunch today? Oh, it'd be hard, right?
My grandma's friend with the mayor.
Grandma's friends with the mayor?
And she
Cool.
helps with the political campaigns.
Okay. So that's an interesting point. So your grandma's friends with the mayor. If the mayor's making all the decisions for who gets what to eat today, do you think the mayor might be a little nicer to his friends or her friends? Maybe. Like, would you give your friend better food than you'd give some stranger?
No.
Yeah.
Some of us are lying, some of us are telling the truth
You guys are
here.
horrible friends.
No, now think about the friends you like, okay? Not. Okay. So the government is dealing with what gets made, how it gets made, and for who it gets made. So how that looked for my friend's mother in China was somebody walked around with a gun while another person had a little clipboard and they would shout out your names like you are gonna scrub toilets with your toothbrush. You're gonna mop the floor. You're gonna clean the ceiling tiles. You're gonna scrub the desk. You're gonna scrape the gum from under the desk. Okay, but people don't do that anymore, thank God. Right? Who's shining my shoes? I get to pick. What do you mean? No way you'd raise your hand that quick. Okay. So the way it worked in communist China at the time was, let's say you're like, hey, I don't want to scrub the floor. What do you think they did to you? Maybe they shot you. I don't think they did that much in China, but maybe you didn't get food that night. Oh, you don't want to work? Well, you don't eat. Okay. You can only do that for so long until you starve to death. Okay. In the middle, oh no, this is more. Again, so you re-emphasize all of this stuff in Social 30, but it's good to start learning it now and get an idea. So in these planned or command economies, things are publicly owned, allegedly, because in Russia, where they practice communism and planned economy, I read somewhere that farmers were punished because they thought that they were taking the leftover grain and rice, whatever they were growing. So you've seen how a farming field works, right? You know, they take a machine, they like clean house, they take all of the crop, but they probably miss some small amounts of it. So in Russia, the dictators thought that, oh, some of these farmers are taking the leftover scraps. Now in Russia, they were very quick to either kill people or send them off to the gulag. Now most of you kids think of the gulag as this place where you fist fight. The gulag is actually a place way up here in Siberia, in like this part of the world where like people don't like living, and they gave them a pickaxe. You kids know what a pickaxe is? Yeah. It's a stick with like a metal thing. Yeah, okay, so you play Minecraft, you know what a pickaxe is, right? Now imagine playing Minecraft all day because they thought that you didn't scrub the floor properly, or you were holding out on the people, right? So comes down to like who really owns the stuff. If everybody owns it, if I farm the food and I eat what's left over, apparently not if you're a Russian. Okay. The government makes the decisions on how to use resources. So there was a famine called the Holodomor. I might be pronouncing that wrong. The dictators in Russia, Stalin in particular, wait for me to cover the camera. Stalin in particular, he thought that how many of you are Ukrainian or have some sort of Ukrainian background? Okay, a couple of you, right? Maybe more in the other class. So Stalin was the leader. He thought that the Ukrainian people were holding out some of the grain. Now, one thing that they did was they sent all the food to the cities because that's where all the production was happening, right? Well, the farmers don't need food. Important stuff's happening in the city, so they sent the food there. And then when Stalin thought that the farmers were keeping some of the food to themselves, he started taking more food from them. He starved them out. Guess how many people died due to starvation? Forced starvation. Guess. Like, throw a number. No, lots isn't a number, it's a word.
1 million?
Ooh, that's a lot, but not that much. We're gonna go higher than 1 million.
What?
Higher than 6 million. For the record,
10 million.
6 million, that's correct. 6 million. 6 million is how many Jews were killed in the Holocaust, right? 10 million Ukrainians were starved out because the government was making decisions on how to use the resources. And the individuals who thought that, hey, I should be getting compensated for this food that I'm making, this stuff I'm producing, to hell with them. They don't get to make that decision. I love this photo. Look, he's from the government, he's here to help, he's giving you a couple shekels and he's taking your wallet, he's just robbing you clean. And look, he's got a smile on his face, he doesn't even know what's happening. Look at him. What did you say? You think he's dumb?
Yep.
Man, a lot of people don't realize what's happening. Okay. A mixed economy, this slide should actually be at the end because you need to understand the spectrums. But a mixed economy is in the middle. There's a bit of government influence, right? So maybe we had that discussion in this class or my block C, I don't know. But should water be free or should you pay for it? Free. Should be free?
No.
Anybody think? You say no. Should pay for it. So that's a question that some governments like to explore. In a mixed economy, they might decide that, well, water is a human right. It's a basic human right. Everyone should have access to it. So you're not going to pay for the water. Maybe you have some like luxury use. Like, okay, if you're really pouring out water down the drain, we're going to charge you for that. But we'll figure out what a reasonable amount of water consumption is per day. And that's free. What you pay for is the service, right? Because the water doesn't magically transport to your house. Okay? Maybe electricity. Like electricity is nice. Do you know how you get your Wi-Fi?
Electricity.
Through electricity, right?
My Wi-Fi isn't really working.
The Wi-Fi isn't magic. It is magic, but
I just said
it's
that my
practical
Wi-Fi
magic.
isn't working.
well, you're at school. The Wi-Fi doesn't work in this room.
No, I'm talking
'Cause we didn't
about
pay our
my
bills.
house, the place
Okay.
I live. You pay for
The place you live, okay. So in mixed economies, they'll make some decisions, some resources, maybe ones that more people use, like heating, electricity, water, are controlled by the government. It's just, the thought process is that, well, we don't want people trying to make profit off of that. We want that service to benefit all people. Okay, in Social 30, they teach this as a form of economic equality. You know, we should all have clean drinking water. There's a particular city where they are very famous. It's in America. It's very famous for not having clean water. Does anyone remember? It's very recent. Starts with an F.
Philadelphia.
Bro, that's a PH. Florida's a state. But FL is the first two letters. Flint, Michigan.
What?
Okay. You kids might not know, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, so you would have been like, I don't know, yay high.
You said it was recent.
Yeah.
I was never yay high.
4 or 5 so recent, man. I'm almost 30. Like, you know what was in the past? 9/11, man. That was a long time ago. People forgot about it.
I
now,
wasn't
you know?
even alive.
You weren't even alive, right? Flint, Michigan's pretty recent.
2001.
So, in Flint, Michigan, these videos would come out.
No, none of
These
us were
videos would
back
come
then.
out. These people would turn on their tap water, and it looked like. They looked like doo-doo. That's the accurate word, right? It looked bad. It was not drinkable. There are reserves, I shouldn't say many. There are indigenous reserves in Canada. Very similar. They don't have clean drinking water. Now, it's not clear to me. Maybe if you privatized it, made some people compete for a good deal, maybe they get water out there. Maybe the government has been controlling it and they're doing a terrible job because they don't really care. Clean drinking water for reserves is like a really good political campaign. Hey, we're gonna get you some water on your reserves. Vote for me, right? Like, let's go back, right? You know, like this guy comes in. Look at his sly smile. Vote for me, people. I'll give indigenous people clean water. And then here's what's a mean way to refer to a voter? I don't know. Here's an NPC who thinks, hey, that guy's gonna do something. Let's vote for him. He says he's gonna bring clean drinking water. And then the politician reaches around, he takes his wallet, right? So it's a very good platform because it pulls on people's heartstrings. Because, like, you know, if you saw the water that would come out of some of these faucets in Flint, Michigan, or a reserve, you'd think, wow, that's horrible. We should do something about that. Now, in a mixed economy, there's a discussion on who gets to make that decision, like a private company or a government, an individual or groups, right? Market economy, or a free market economy, is on the right of the economic spectrum. It really emphasizes individualism. So how many of you think you'd like to have a business one day? Maybe. Okay. So in a market economy, you are free to make that business and potentially thrive or fail, right? It's up to you, depending on your skill set, what you learn, what you're capable of doing, the quality of product you produce, the quality of service you provide, the way you market, the way you advertise your company. But you will be competing with everyone who is also doing that. So maybe maybe your business is to provide life coaching, right? You make people feel good about themselves. Okay. You're competing with everyone else who provides that service. Maybe you want to be an electrician and have your own company. You're competing with everyone else. Okay. Now, some people fight dirty. They compete dirty. And that's something that needs to be dealt with. Right. But ideally, by providing the best service, the best product, and being able to market that well, because marketing is an important part of business, hopefully then your business rises to the top and you make a lot of money from that. And you're able to employ other people. If that's not your thing, maybe you just provide a really good product and service. If the government does not get involved, the government doesn't say, no, you can't do that. We're not going to let you. Like, we want you to get a permit. We want you to do this, do that. Jump through all these hula hoops like a circus animal. Okay. So in market economies, these resources are privately owned. So you would be able to buy a field, you would be able to decide, like, so you could buy land, an acreage, and you could decide maybe you want to live on it, maybe you want to have a small, like, 1 acre farm, maybe you want to have animals on that property, or better yet, maybe you buy the land and you rent it out to several other people who want to live their own dream. Maybe that's your business. You take on the risk of buying and owning the land, but you rent it out to several different people, and that's how you make your income. Right? So maybe on one corner of the land you have somebody who brings their sheep and they graze on the land, and another person rents a whole bunch of space to have their own garden. Maybe they have a community garden thing going on. Another person brings chickens over, you have cows, somebody has a couple honeybee hives. You're increasing the productivity of the land. So in market economies, in free market economies, people who are more productive with a plan, ideally, are going to be better off. So market economies really speak to people who are high in industriousness, and that's a personality trait. Okay, maybe, some of you are going to be high in industriousness. You're always working. You're always doing something. Okay, that could potentially, I was just listening to a podcast about this, it could potentially be associated with hyperactivity. So what is it? ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Okay, now, hyperactive disorder could just be you're very industrious. You want to be doing stuff, right? You don't want to be sitting in a desk taking like 4 words of notes. You want to be running around. You want to be moving. You want to be thinking. You want to be doing, right? Maybe you're like that, right? Maybe you as well, right? And so, if you're very industrious in a busy work environment, maybe you can make a lot of money. You want to find a job that speaks to that skill set. So let's say a salesperson. You're a car salesperson. You're very industrious. You're always working. You're always doing something. And the more you do that and the better you do it, the more money you make. Whereas my profession, it doesn't matter if I sit at my desk for 30 minutes or teach for 80 minutes. I get paid the same. The other thing about market economies is the government doesn't step in place. So, there's this idea that every individual should get a minimum amount of money for the job they're doing. A lot of you believe that. But how many of you have struggled to find a job, to find work? A couple, right? How many of you have really started looking for work? Okay. And you were able to find it relatively easy? Okay. Where do you work? How did you find the job?
Well, I rep.
What's that?
I rep hockey games.
Okay, so kind of speaks to your skill set because you play hockey, right? What about you?
I'm still looking for a job.
You're looking for a job. It's kind of hard, right? Do you find a lot of places simply won't contact you or say no?
Yeah.
Why do you think that you work as well?
No.
You had your hand up. Why do you think it's hard for someone who's about 15 years old to find a job?
Inexperienced.
Inexperienced? Why does that matter though? It's a minimum wage job.
Can't do as much as other people.
Can't do as much as other people, okay?
Like immaturity and not
So tied in with inexperience is you're not nearly as mature as someone who's 17, 18, 19, or 30 years old, right?
You're unreliable.
Unreliable. How does your employer know for sure that you're going to do the work you're going to do? Now the thing is, if someone who's 19, who's in university and needs a job, applies, and you apply, who do you think was more likely to get hired?
The 19-year-old.
19-year-old. They can make some assumptions. Oh, this person's 19, you know, they finished high school, they got a diploma, maybe they're in university, they're a little responsible. But that young 15-year-old who's eager to get some money, you know, maybe buy a scooter or a car or like something, take your partner out on a date, go to the movies, well, you can't necessarily rely on that person. And that's government intervention. So in a market economy, there would be no minimum wage. What you could do instead is you could go to the McDonald's and say, hey, listen, I'm pretty desperate for a job and I've never worked before. So how about this? Like, you pay me $5 an hour, okay? Which is better than $0 an hour. But it's not nearly as good as $15 an hour, okay? You pay me $5 an hour, I'll come here, I'll work 3 nights a week for 4 hours. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, so you really only, like, 4 times 5 is 20 bucks. 20 bucks a shift. Now you might think, Quadra, that's horrible. Like, what are you saying? I'm worth $5 an hour? You might be. You might be. Like, we don't know. But the thing is, then, once you show your boss that you're working really well, maybe you ask for a raise. Say, hey, I would like $8 an hour, $10 an hour. 15 if you're really working and you're like a shift leader and a manager. Okay. But if the government interferes with how much you should get paid, it makes it very easy for the employer, as Walter Williams would say, to discriminate against you for your age and inexperience. Well, there's no cost. So what I mean by that is that to say no to hiring you, they don't lose money. They just pick the 19-year-old or the 20-year-old or the 17-year-old. Is that person a little older? Maybe they're more experienced. But if there's no minimum wage, so let's say you come in, you say, hey, like, pay me $5 an hour. It's my first job. I need experience. But a 17, 20-year-old comes in and says, pay me $12 an hour because I know what I'm doing. There's a $7 an hour difference, right? They have to pay $7 more an hour to this other person. So it costs them money to discriminate against you for your youth and your inexperience, right? And that's an argument that Walter Williams makes, who's an economist very similar to Thomas Sowell. Okay. And obviously, you know, there's no right or wrong answer, but my own personal belief is what allows the individual the most amount of choices and opportunities and freedom. But that's the way I would see the world. So there's this concept of the public good, or the common good, which is more of a collectivist concept, so that'll be on the left of the spectrum. From your perspective, it would be over here, generally speaking. But the essence of the common good or the public good is what's best for all of us. Is there one thing that's best for all of us? Or like food, generally speaking, so you don't starve, water. But everyone can have their own unique idiosyncrasy. So like, you might like something very specific and particular that he doesn't, and the other way around. And so at the individual level, it can be hard to know what's best for everyone. There are some general things. So what's best for everyone is economic opportunities. So jobs being available, that's pretty good, right? Because most people don't want to have to sit around at home struggling financially. You know, most people would like to know that they have an opportunity to work somewhere. And these two systems achieve this common good, public good in different ways. And one is through this idea that we cooperate, work together to get an outcome that we all want. The other is that we compete to figure out who's the best amongst us, and then the best amongst us provides the services, the goods, whatever it is. We're really struggling to hold on to that pencil. You breaking your pencil, throwing the other half on the ground. What's up with that?
It was Lucas. I didn't break it.
no way this is the last slide. Why is my remote not working?
Like, where's your finger?
Not in the remote.
In a mixed economy, you have, again, a mixture of both these systems. You cooperate and you compete. So a good example of that is, so, you know, a bunch of you play on teams, you play sports, you have some sort of competitive activity, whether it's a video game, whatnot. So you have a competition, your team plays another school team, and maybe you play 10 games in a season. So for like us in the senior boys basketball team, we didn't win a single game this year. So sad, kids. So sad. If this guy's gonna be on the team next year, we're gonna do wonders, okay? We're gonna develop this man. Yeah. Who else is staying here? You're gonna be there. Already got 2 future players here. Who else played in this class? Are you staying in this school next year?
Why?
Blood.
Man, just leave.
Why?
You staying here next year?
No, he's going to.
You
Man, just
will.
get out of here. Who else is leaving the school next year? So
Yeah.
sad, it's depressing. Put your hands down.
I might go to comp. I don't know. You're weird.
So you can compete at the game level, but then you cooperate. So right next door is the comp. Mr. Crook is the basketball coach for the senior boys team. Mr. Crook was my mentor teacher. At some point, I'm gonna ask him, sit down. Hey, tell me about coaching. Let's cooperate. Like, how do I coach my team better?
And then he's gonna give you the worst tips ever. Just
Why would he do that? He likes me.
So he can.
I
win.
just uploaded a recent profile picture, me wearing a suit. He commented, there's a crowd of people throwing up a 10. He loves me. But you have both cooperation and competition. Right? So after we both raise the level of coaching, we coach our athletes get better, and then we compete and we get better even more. Right? We got a couple more slides and then we'll wrap it up, okay? Crown corporations. So this relates to the mixed and planned economies. Crown corporations are businesses and the services owned by the government. Has anyone been to Banff National Park? Okay, Banff or Jasper, right? That's a crown. It's crown entity, we'll call it. So that park is owned by the government. We pay taxes that go into maintaining and managing the park, making sure that people can use it, access it, that it's functional. CBC is a crown corporation. It's funded by the government. They're trying. Does anyone know what's going on with the CBC right now? Like with Twitter? So sad. Nobody knows what's going on. So Twitter recently, yes. Here I was thinking you were gonna, like, no, Mr. Quadra, I know what's going on with CBC. Go ahead. Okay. Come on, get out of here, scram. Why are these desks so, like, why are they like this?
Can I go after Jonathan now?
Can I go after you? Oh, just for the back.
No way there's a whole lineup now. You haven't taken a single note.
I'm listening, bro.
I want to know.
I've been
So CBC, some of the conservative, the federal conservative party members, they tweeted to Elon Musk saying, hey, the CBC is state media. It's government news, right? And their argument is that, well, CBC is a crown corporation. They get their money from the government, the political party in charge, which means that there is a conflict of interest there. So think about it this way. Like, let's say, like, who would like to be on honor roll? Okay, so a bunch of you just raise your hand. Like, if a whole bunch of money just made it onto my desk, it'd be a conflict of interest. It's like, oh, well, did this person really do well? Or did 50 is like really cheap. Don't give me a 50. 150. Leave that on my desk. You know, maybe your grade goes up. Who knows? I don't know. Probably not. Okay.
yeah, but who
So
wants to get honor roll if it's only $50? And then we're giving you $150, losing money. The only reason to get on honor roll is for money.
they pay everyone who gets on honors?
Get like
Okay,
$20.
okay,
Yes,
perfect.
20
So you get what do you get?
25.
That's it?
You would get a scholarship if
Well, that's high school, right?
I know, yeah, I think so.
So if you're in high school, grade 12, you put $150 on my desk, who knows, maybe you get that scholarship, right? Because your grade goes up, right? Conflict of interest. Okay, so the government is paying this news corporation their money to pay to run their programs. What kind of programs do you think that corporation is going to run? Do you think they'll be critical of the government? Maybe, maybe not. But the goal is to make sure that the news you get, the information you get, doesn't have a bias. So that's what's going on with CBC and Twitter and whatnot right now. You know, and then Trudeau came out and he kind of like, I'm gonna use a swear word there. He cried about it. He was whining about like, oh, you know, the Conservatives went to some American billionaire to solve their problem. Well, at the end of the day, you know, where does the funding for CBC come from? It comes from the government. Yes. And there's a lineup.
It's Josh, then me, then.
The way you're dropping all those names right by the camera. Come on.
Really?
That's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be the favorite side.
Okay, some examples there. So Petro-Canada used to be Crown Corporation, you know, because Canada is so fortunate. We have this amazing natural resource that makes life so much better. They're called fossil fuels. You know, we have coal, we have liquid natural gas. It's so sad. Germany was on its knees begging Canada, please give us liquid natural gas. Putin shut off the taps. They were using coal in Germany. Coal! Has anyone here seen coal?
I have.
A couple of you. Have you seen coal?
It's in the lake. So when you go like in the lake, like I don't know which lake it is, but there's like a lake. And,
Some mysterious lake.
I think it was in BC, and I went in there. And
Have you seen coal?
I went to the coal mine.
You went to a coal mine. No way. You saw the terrible conditions at which they used to get coal out. Okay. Field trip? What's that?
I went over
Where? Where?
to town.
Like where was the field trip to? Does coal mine have a name?
I don't know.
Okay. You're a kid.
We went to a coal mine in Drumheller, like as a vacation.
What? What?
It's an educational vacation. Okay. What are you gonna add? Okay. Same coal mine in Drumheller. Yeah, so coal, grade 9s, is bad for the environment, but it's better than burning wood, I've learned. But what's better than burning coal is like natural gas, right? And then better than that would be nuclear power,
Like electricity.
yeah, to produce electricity. What's not really efficient and effective, from what I'm learning from like 7 different sources, is solar and wind. Yeah, like they just don't have a consistent flow of energy.
Unless you're in space. Sounds
All right, we're all moved to space now. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll tweet Elon Musk. Can you take us to space? Yeah.
That's what the space station got.
Yes.
What if like you use wind energy to power a fan, which makes more wind? Infinite energy.
Whoa!
It would be like a snake eating its own tail.
Yeah, that's
Like, oh, look, free food. Right?
Wait,
Um,
wait, that's actually.
Wait, it's like an infinite energy.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
What is it?
So hydro is
Would that actually work?
so hydroelectricity is where they put a turbine like on a river and it moves. But the thing is, like the people who are like really pro green energy, they're like no. You're ruining the whole river. You're disrupting everything, and you do disrupt it to an extent. But like, let's say you put a turbine in the ocean because there's ocean currents, right? Like the ocean doesn't just like sit there; it moves.
Why not?
And it chops the turtles.
To hell with the turtles,
Yeah,
man.
maybe that's a good thing.
Oh my
I don't know. So the thing is, if grade 9s you want to use energy, so burning a tree, coal, gas, nuclear, hydro, wind, wind or solar, you know, you have to manipulate the environment, and it's very complicated. Like you know, energy doesn't just like unfortunately we haven't like caught Thor and just, you know, made him into an electricity slave. Right? So electricity power it needs to be produced through some, you asked to go to the washroom, you went left. The washroom's that way. He's rendezvousing with his buddy now. Okay. Anyways, Petro-Canada used to be a crown corporation because, you know, everyone should have access to energy. It makes life so much better. Imagine if you had to walk everywhere. Right? Like taking a bus is nice. Taking a car is even better. Taking a helicopter is pretty great except for Kobe Bryant that one time.
Oh my god.
Okay.
What?
Okay, we'll wrap it up there. We'll talk about supply and demand.
No, it was
Thank you.
very shocking.
What happened?